Okay, settle in, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into something, well, something pretty rare, incredibly precise, and honestly, quite beautiful.
Hmm.
We're sort of stepping away from the everyday and into the world of high-end German watchmaking.
That's right. And our focus today, based on the articles and notes you've shared, is really specific. It's an exquisite timepiece. The new green editions of the Moritz Grossmann Tremblage.
A very particular watch.
It is, and it's a watch that tells a story not just about time, but about uh, real dedication to craft.
And yeah, this whole deep dive, it's built entirely on that source material you sent over, all centered on this one watch.
Exactly. So our mission, let's say, is pretty straightforward, but definitely intriguing. We want to unpack the story behind this watch,
Right.
understand what makes its unique features tick, and we'll definitely spend some time on that amazing dial texture
Oh,
and
yeah!
figure out, what really makes it a standout example of Schönstes Deutsches Handwerk,
Which means,
the most beautiful German craftsmanship. And we're sticking just to the information you've provided.
okay, perfect. Let's unpack this then. Maybe start right at the beginning. The brand's foundation, where did it all start?
Yeah, absolutely. To really get Moritz Grossmann today, you kind of have to go back to Karl Moritz Grossmann, born 1826.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, a long time ago. And he wasn't just a watchmaker. He was, well, a pivotal figure, one of the founding fathers of watchmaking in Glashütte, Germany.
Glashütte, right, that's the historic heartland for serious German watchmaking, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And his impact was huge. I mean, he wasn't just making things. He was building the whole ecosystem for the craft there.
How so?
Well, for instance, in 1878, he actually co-founded the German School of Watchmaking right there in Glashütte.
Co-founded the school, that's significant.
Hugely. Think about it, setting up a formal way to teach these incredibly intricate skills for generations to come.
Oh.
And even before focusing on watches as we might picture them, his workshop was producing these ultra-high precision scientific instruments.
Like what?
Things like astronomical clocks, marine chronometers,
Oh.
eventually moving into very, very fine pocket watches. He really established some fundamental principles.
Oh, okay, so fast forward quite a bit, because the modern brand, the one we see today that was effectively refounded, revived,
That's right.
and it's quite notable, as the sources point out, that it's led by Christine Hutter. She's one of the very few women leading an independent watch brand.
Yes, and her vision has absolutely shaped the brand as it exists now.
Yeah.
It's all about incredibly refined watchmaking,
Mm-hmm.
very low production numbers, which tells you something right away about their approach.
Exclusivity.
Exactly.
Mm.
And a deep commitment to making their own movements, their in-house calibers, and always that unwavering dedication to Schönstes Deutsches Handwerk. It really feels like it's in everything they do.
So it's not just using the name, it sounds like they're really trying to embody that original spirit, but, elevate it with modern execution.
I think that's a great way to put it. And you can actually see that connection quite clearly in the design language.
How so?
Well, the design cues you see in their modern watches, including this Tremblage model we're focusing on, they're deliberately drawn from the founder's historical pocket chronometers. Even specific things like his patented small seconds designs.
Ah, okay.
There's a very clear, intentional thread back to the past.
Which brings us neatly to the Tremblage model itself. Where does this one fit in their lineup?
So the Tremblage is part of their Bennu collection. And this technique, the Tremblage itself, it first appeared on a model back in 2021.
Okay.
That one had a champagne dial, and it's for the brand's 13th anniversary. We've also seen it more recently on their very high-end tourbillon Tremblage.
Right, but the news now, the thing that sparked this deep dive, is a fresh take on it.
Exactly. The Tremblage model is back this summer, and the big story is this really striking new green dial.
Green.
Yeah, and the source material mentions the specific shade was chosen to evoke, and I like this description, the shady refuge of a German forest.
That's nice imagery. But it's not just the color, is it? It's that texture. That surface looks, well, it looks incredible. Almost alive.
This is really the star of the show, I think, and definitely a key insight from the sources. That surface is fascinating, isn't it? All those tiny indentations, that sort of granulated look.
Yeah.
That's the result of a technique called tremblage engraving.
Tremblage. You said that means trembling or shaking.
That's the literal meaning, yes.
Yeah.
And the sources are clear. This is described as an almost forgotten craft.
Really? Forgotten.
Well, maybe not forgotten, but certainly exceptionally rare,
Hmm.
especially done at this level of precision. The source material gives us a good window into just how difficult and incredibly skill-intensive this whole process is.
Okay, walk us through that process based on what you read.
Right, so it's not just, standard engraving.
Yeah.
It absolutely requires the steady hand and eye of a master engraver. And it demands unbelievable consistency. Consistency of pressure, consistency of movement from that engraver's hand,
Yeah.
all to create this uniform, matte, granulated sort of scenery across the whole dial.
How are they actually making those little marks? What's the tool?
They use specialized engraving tools. They're called burins.
Burins.
Yeah. The engraver holds the burin and moves it meticulously, often in different directions, making countless tiny overlapping microcuts. Just thousands of them.
Into the dial material itself.
Exactly. Into the base material of the dial, which in this case is German silver. That's a specific alloy, known for being stable and having this subtle sheen when it's finished.
Okay, now here's the bit that sounds truly insane to me. It's not like they're just engraving a flat, blank piece of metal, are they?
No, absolutely not. And this is really the crucial point, the thing that just ramps up the skill level required astronomically.
Go on.
The engraver has to do this incredibly delicate, painstaking tremblage work around elements that are left raised up on the dial surface.
Laced up like what?
The numerals, the brand name, the minute track, the small seconds track.
Yeah.
None of those are separate pieces stuck on top.
Wait, so they're part of the original metal?
Yes. They're left standing in relief. They're part of the original German silver base plate. The engraver is essentially carving away the material around them to create the textured background.
So, hold on, they're using these tiny, sharp tools, making thousands of little cuts, and they have to do it perfectly right up to the edge of a tiny raised number or letter without slipping once.
That's exactly it.
That sounds impossible. The level of control needed.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? It demands absolute mastery of the tool. It really is the human touch creating this textured ground while leaving the mountains, the numerals and text completely untouched and sharp.
Wow.
That level of precision, by hand. It's a real insight into what Schönstes Deutsches Handwerk truly means. It's not just a slogan.
No kidding. And what about the hands? The things actually telling the time over this incredible surface.
They definitely match the level of detail. The sources describe them as elegant, lance-shaped hands. And it's noted they're also made in-house.
Of course.
And apparently they have incredibly sharp tips. Again, it's that attention to the smallest details, everywhere you look.
Okay, let's talk about the case holding all this. What are the basics, the specs for these new green versions?
Right. So the new Tremblage green editions, they come at a 41mm case size.
Okay, pretty standard contemporary size.
Yep. And you get a choice of case material, either white gold or rose gold.
Mm-hmm.
And the thickness is listed as 11.35mm.
Okay. Now, before we peek inside at the movement, there's something really unique about how you interact with this watch, isn't there? The crown mechanism is different.
Ah, yes, the crown. It's a signature Moritz Grossmann feature, and it really is a fascinating bit of engineering, not your standard setup at all.
So how does it work? You still wind it with crown, presumably?
Yes, like any manual winding watch, you turn the crown to wind the mainspring.
Yeah.
But it's when you pull the crown out to set the time that things get interesting. Okay, what happens?
Well, you pull the crown out, but instead of it clicking and staying out in that position, like on, almost every other watch, it automatically springs right back to its original position, flush against the case.
Springs back. But how do you set the time then?
Ah, because that action, pulling it out and it's springing back, simultaneously activates the stop seconds mechanism. So the second hand freezes for precise time setting.
Okay, so the crown is back in, the second hand is stopped. How do you get it going again? And how do you switch back to winding mode?
That's where a separate pusher comes into play. There's usually a small pusher built into the side of the case, often around the 4 o'clock position.
Right.
Once you've set the time exactly where you want it, you press that pusher. That action does 2 things. It restarts the movement so the second hand starts sweeping again, and it also internally resets the crown mechanism back into winding mode. Okay, wow, that's intricate. What's fascinating here is the thought process. Why go to all that trouble? Why develop this complex mechanism instead of just using a standard pull-out crown? It can't just be to be different, surely.
No, definitely not. And the sources actually explain the very practical reasons behind this quite sophisticated safety mechanism.
Like what?
Well, one key reason is to prevent dust or moisture from getting into the case through the crown tube. That's always a potential weak point when a standard crown is pulled out.
Okay, that makes sense. Sealing.
Right. Second, it significantly minimizes wear and tear on the keyless works.
The keyless works. Those are the delicate parts inside connected to the crown.
Exactly. The gears and levers involved in winding and setting,
Yep.
because you're not pushing and pulling the crown in and out repeatedly, you reduce stress on those components.
So it's also about protecting the movement itself, long-term durability.
Precisely. And there's a third benefit, too. It prevents that tiny, unintentional movement of the hands that can sometimes happen when you push a regular crown back into the case after setting.
Ah, I know what you mean. You set it perfectly, push it in, and the minute hand jumps slightly.
Exactly. This system avoids that completely.
Yep.
It ensures the exact time you set is the time this starts running. So yeah, they're very practical benefits that really speak volumes about their focus on precision and longevity.
That really underscores that Schönstes Deutsches handwork idea again. It's not just about the finishing you can see, it's in the engineering choices too.
Absolutely.
Speaking of engineering, let's finally look under the hood, the movement itself.
Right, the engine. This model uses their in-house hand-wound caliber 100.1.
Okay.
And when you flip the watch over, the view through the sapphire case back is, well, it's designed to showcase those classic traits of the German school of watchmaking.
And what do those traits look like here? What would you see?
You'd immediately notice the traditional pillar architecture. It's a specific way of constructing the movement plates.
Mm-hmm.
You'd see a very distinctive 23 bridge made of German silver, which is beautifully decorated, often with hand engraving. And the finishing details are just exceptional, very traditional. You'll see things like white sapphires used for the jewel bearings.
Instead of rubies.
Sometimes, yes. And crucially, they're set into raised gold chaitons. These are like little gold cups holding the jewels, secured by tiny screws. It's very decorative.
So the settings themselves are part of the aesthetic.
Very much so. You'll also see annealed panhead screws. These are steel screws that have been heat-treated just right to get this beautiful deep blue or purple color, a classic high-end finishing technique.
Uh-huh.
Then there's the balance cock. That's the bridge holding the balance wheel, which is typically hand engraved. It secures their own in-house Grossmann balance wheel, beating at a traditional 18,000 vibrations per hour.
Slower beat rate, classic style.
Exactly. And very importantly, you'll see extensive hand-polished chamfers. Those are the angled, polished edges on the bridges and plates that catch the light so beautifully. It's another hallmark of serious manual finishing.
It's clear that the same dedication to hand finishing we saw on the dial carries right through to the movement. What's the